Welcome back to Soundstage. I'm Emily McDougall, and today we'll be having Kit Major on the show. She's originally from Chicago, but she graduated from USC in the spring, and now she is permanently located in Los Angeles as a pop solo artist. Before we bring her out, let's take a look at her music video, Pray to Pop.
Every night I lie awake, I pray to pop my soul to take. If I die before I wake, I hope to God I'm famous. If living large is seen as sin, caught inside the paper thin, I'll stand out just to fit in. I hope to God I'm famous. Living in my favorite city. Don't you think my friends are pretty? Pledge allegiance to pop stars and Batman on Hollywood Boulevard.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's nice to be. This is probably the first time I've been back in this neighborhood since
you graduated.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's awesome. Okay, so first and foremost, where did the name Kit Major come from?
So that's a family nickname. My sister calls me Kit, and we were at a Charlie XCX concert.
Okay.
And we were just kind of like, I don't know, we were looking at the bill, and I used to go by my other family nickname, which is Kat. My name's Catherine.
Okay.
And so I used to go by Kat, and I came out with a song, Strawberry Milkshake, under that title.
Okay.
And then I thought that would be easier to find me, but if you looked at Google, it was just like Strawberry Milkshakes being drunk by cats, and it was
no.
This is not working out. So kind of took that name, and then my sister actually came up with the whole Kit Major. Just kind of, it clicked. It just felt like a Bratz Barbie doll, and we were like, that's
cool.
That's it. That's the
awesome.
person. So it kind of just developed from there, and it felt natural.
Awesome. And you are originally from Chicago, right?
Yes.
So what was your transition like moving to LA for college and then moving back again now?
Very lonely at first.
Okay.
I think I spent a year in Chicago in the city. I grew up in the suburbs. And in that city, it was like the kind of stereotype, like, I found myself and I found my artistic soul, and I started doing things out of what I thought was out of my comfort zone at 18. And then coming out here, I just kind of felt like I had to swallow it back up. And so my kind of escape and understanding and transition was actually through music and going to shows and just listening to the artists that kind of remind me of who I am and who I want to be. And so I lived with my sister, and she was my best friend. So like that was really fun. And then like other than like the first 6 months of living here, I met my best friends. And then ever since then, like there's no question that LA is my home. These are my best friends, and this is the city I thrive in. I don't usually use that word, but it just yeah. So the transition was always like, I guess it happens with wherever you go, but then once you find your family within that part, it's always going to feel 10 times better.
Awesome. And are you from a musically inclined family? Do your parents play music, anything like that?
Yeah, I grew up in a music family. My parents both love music. My dad plays guitar, and he was the DJ for Northwestern. And so my parents kind of met through that and met through their love for music. So I grew up with a lot of rock and roll. And I lived overseas in Japan and China for most of my childhood. And so my dad, he had a rock cover band in China. So I grew up going to a lot of his shows.
And how did that affect your music now? I know you do a lot of pop and kind of cool music.
I think it really helped my kind of like diverse taste in music, because I've always been into pop and always drawn to it, but having my dad kind of show me the roots of all different kinds of music, it's kind of what develop the kind of sound that I create today.
Awesome. Cool. And are there any artists that you're specifically inspired by that have that are similar to your style or drastically different than your style that have kind of helped you formulate what kind of music you want to produce?
Yeah, yes. There are a lot of artists. I'm really drawn by Lady Gaga and David Bowie and Prince. I think those are all artists that they are remembered for being themselves and doing what makes them them. And I think I really am inspired by that and the music they create. And I love any artist that can go outside of their comfort zone. I don't like staying in things for too long. And so I really like artists that go outside of their genre so that they can kind of just do whatever they want, if like R&B or to rock or to anything, and not just be in a box.
Right, absolutely. That's awesome. And we heard a clip from your song, Pray to Pop. What was it like? I mean, that song is obviously about sacrificing yourself to the fame and pop. What was that like creating that song, and what was kind of the inspiration behind that?
That song, that's one of my favorite songs that I've put out so far, I think, because it's a big part of me, because it's not only just a part of what I'm thinking and feeling, but it's also a story, and I love storytelling. And that one came from the story. It was originally going to be called Genesis, and it was going to be the story of the beginning of how you become this famous pop star. And to go to there, you have to go to where the beginning is, where you sacrifice. And so it just kind of became revolving around that story, but it really started when I got some responses from friends and family when they realized pop was what I was going to be pursuing and writing, and they weren't really used to that kind of image. And so it just kind of made me wonder about, if you're going to go into pop, then you just got to give yourself to the whole devil.
Interesting. Cool. That's awesome. And how did you develop your sound and your vibe? So it sounds like you kind of have always loved pop and always felt connected to that, but the kind of music that you're creating now, is that always what you've been creating, or did it kind of develop over time?
It's definitely developed over time. I started writing when I used it as a form of my diary. So like, none of my old songs are usable because they're just very much like, Jonathan, you never called me back, and then whatever rhymes with back. So like, it really developed as writing and music kind of became just different tastes. So it started with like songwriting inspiration, and then through there it became rock, and then from there pop. And so now it's just kind of a blend of all the different things I listen to. So I just kind of do what I like.
Awesome. Okay. And are there any elements of like art that inspire your music? Colors, places, things like that? Any specific artworks?
Yeah. Well, I've yet to find an art piece or artwork that I go back to a lot. I do look at movies and I do look at photography. Okay. But I guess I wish one day I can have an answer for you of like this specific painting. But I see things very visually. A lot of my songs, they have a story or some sort of color or theme that goes behind it. Like Strawberry Milkshake was pink, and that one I saw, the car and different colors, but most recently Pray to Pop is purple, and I came up with like a whole little mood board with it that had a lot of different like dark crown kind of visuals. So I love doing visuals, and I love kind of incorporating that in it.
Awesome. Okay. And this year you said you started writing with other songwriters. Has that been interesting? Has that changed your songwriting process at all? What has that been like?
Yeah, it's been really fun. It's been different in the way that it's just challenging, but not in like just like in a way that challenges you, that you want to do better, and it motivate you from that. Like, I'm very used to writing on my own, but when you write with someone else, you can share a lot of different either melodies, or you can share different just takes on it. Like I came into a session once with a song that was just really depressing. I had a bad week, and it was just very much like, I want to die. And I came in there and it ended up being like, well, let's not do that. But let's take that melody that you have and let's make it something different. And so we ended up walking away with a song that was like maybe coming home with someone from a club, or does this person really like me kind of thing. Okay. And if I was by myself, I would have wallowed in my emotions and have another dark song to add to my collection. So it was nice to have just a different voice in the room being like, that's cool that you're feeling that way. Why don't we create something from that instead of project it?
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. We're going to cut to a quick commercial break, and afterwards we'll hear Kit perform. Stay tuned.